Welcome to The Explainer. Sometimes in the business world, you see a move so bold, it just makes you stop and pay attention. That's exactly what we're talking about today. We're digging into the story of how Argentina's energy giant, YPF, completely reinvented itself. And believe me, the numbers they posted in the process are pretty staggering.
All right, so let's set the stage with a bit of a head-scratcher, something that really got the market buzzing. Picture this. It's 2025, and global oil prices just cratered by 15%. I mean, for most oil companies, that is terrible news. We're talking about a really, really tough year. But not for YPF. No, for them, it was something else entirely.
$5 billion. That's the number. They posted a record-high Adjusted EBITDA of $5 billion. Now, to put that in perspective, that's not just good. It's the best they've done in the last decade, and it's the third highest in their entire history. Just an unbelievable performance when the market's going in the opposite direction.
Which brings us to the big question, right? How in the world did they manage that? What's the secret here? How do you post record profits when your main product just got 15% cheaper?
Well, the answer is, it's actually pretty simple in concept, but absolutely massive in execution. They decided to trade their old, expensive assets for new, super efficient ones. It was a complete reinvention. Their CEO even called it a transformational and landmark year. Basically, they stopped looking backward and went all in on the future.
Okay, so to really get this, we first have to understand the problem they were facing. And it really all boils down to the weight of their old operations. You see, for a long time, YPF was kind of weighed down by these old conventional oil fields. Think high costs, declining production, just really inefficient. It was like they were trying to run a race with an anchor tied to their leg.
So what was the solution? Simple. Cut the rope on that anchor and bet the farm on something new. And that something new was one of the world's richest shale formations, the Vaca Muerta, which was basically right in their own backyard.
And man, did that bet pay off. The results were just explosive. By the end of 2025, they were pumping out 204,000 barrels of shale oil a day. That's a 42% jump from the year before. They didn't just meet their targets, they completely blew past them.
And this chart just shows you how incredibly efficient they became. That lifting cost you see, that's just a fancy term for how much it costs to pull 1 barrel of oil equivalent out of the ground. Look at YPF's Vaca Muerta number, just $4.40. That is cheaper than the legendary Permian Basin in the US. I mean, think about that. That cost advantage is everything. It means more profit on every single barrel they sell.
And the company's CEO, Horacio Marin, he was very clear about this. He basically said the goal was to become a pure shale player. No ambiguity there. The mission was to leave the old company behind and build this lean, mean shale drilling machine.
But okay, let's be real. A transformation this big costs a ton of money. So how did they pay for it all?
Well, it was a pretty smart two-step plan. First, they started selling off all those old fields we talked about. That brought in almost $1 billion right there. Then they took their new story, their new vision, to the markets and raised another $3.7 billion. Clearly, investors like what they were hearing.
Now you can imagine all this activity, buying new land, paying to get out of the old contracts, building new stuff. It meant they had to spend a lot of cash all at once. And that led to a negative cash flow number that, if you just saw it on a spreadsheet, might make you a little nervous.
But here's the key thing to understand about that. That negative $1.8 billion in free cash flow, it wasn't a problem. Not at all. It was actually a sign of the strategy working. It was a planned investment. You have to spend money to make money, right? Well, this was the cost of building a much, much more profitable company down the road. So, where does this all lead? Because this story gets even bigger. It's not just about one company's balance sheet. If you look at their plans for 2026, they're just hitting the accelerator. They want to push shale production up to 250,000 barrels a day, and they're forecasting another record-breaking year for profits. But the real endgame here, the big goal, is to turn Argentina into a major global energy exporter, with this massive LNG project as the crown jewel.
And that really leaves us with a huge question, doesn't it? What YPF did here is way more than just a smart business move. It's a massive bet, a bet that could potentially reshape the energy future for the entire country of Argentina. The real question isn't just if it will pay off for YPF, but if it could help turn Argentina into a global energy superpower.